welcome back to the latest episode of the Tech Talks Daily podcast, where today I'm going to be sitting down with Jan Birkholz, process mining evangelist and proud advocate for data-driven process understanding. And he's also part of the team at a company dedicated to providing software-based business process optimization, helping organizations become more agile and data-driven. And I also want to learn more of real-life success stories because I know they work with some pretty big names in the industry. And hopefully together we can illustrate the transformative power of process mining and data-driven optimization. And ultimately how together they are revolutionizing the way businesses make decisions, streamline processes, and harness the potential of their data. So buckle up and hold on tight, because once again, I'm going to beam your ears all the way to Las Vegas, where you can join me and today's guest live in conversation about all this and much more. So, a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Jan. I'm with Mehrwerk, and we will today talk about MPMX, our process mining solution that is based on Qlik. My role, or what I'm doing, basically, it's a little bit difficult to explain, but I try to understand the demands of the client and the difficulties of the client and see if our solution and our offer to the client can solve their problem and assist in solving it. Yeah, as Mehrwerk, founded 2008 in Germany, Karlsruhe, grew steadily, strong data analytics background, so that was the purpose of the foundation basically, and then went into the topic of process mining like 5 years ago. When I also started, so I'm at the firm like 6.5 years, first working student and thesis, and then starting as a professional. Yeah, so from the real beginning, the first steps that we took with the process mining and the product. And now, a few weeks ago, we ended up being a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant.
Wow, that's a big achievement.
From 5 years ago, first visualization, and then I think we would never have thought that we would come that far that quick. Sometimes it's good because you're so busy working head down. Yeah. Sometimes it's good to sit down and look at it, and then you actually see there was something remarkable on their way. And that was 4.5 weeks ago when we got the confirmation that we will be leader in Gartner Magic Quadrant.
Wow, well, a huge congrats on that. And for people that are hearing about you guys for the first time, can you tell me a little bit more about the problems that you're solving and your mission to provide software-based process optimization for companies across various industries? So before we talk about the tech, what problems are you solving?
Basically, we solved the problem of uncertainty, to be at the words of that we heard so this morning. Basically, the uncertainty of not knowing how processes are being executed inside of our organization. So clients, they define their processes, they set up their IT systems, but they actually have no idea if the people are using the IT systems like they are designed. Yeah. And there was so far no technology that was able to cover that. Of course, they had data analytics solutions, and the data analytics solutions try to get an idea of it in defining KPIs. So, are your sales good? Your sales process must be fine if the sales is good, but could it be better? Do you have improvement potentials inside of your processes? Yeah, or in your invoice process, or purchasing process, or production process. That's always the thing that you don't have the transparency. And classical process analysis was basically Q&A based. So we would sit down like we do now, and I would ask you, how do you execute your daily work? What do you do? Show me, tell me. And I would draw a map based on that. And I literally would draw a map, like subjective, disconnected, and I don't know if you were doing it like this. I cannot do this questioning with all of your colleagues if we are a large corporation, but I can extract all the digital footprints that you are leaving inside of the system. And I can do that with all of your colleagues as well. That is what process mining does. We extract those digital footprints and we automatically give a picture of the actual as-is process. Objective, based on the information, on the log information of the system, exactly when, what happened, being able then to see exactly where are the lead times, where do we have a different order than designed, where are not following the path that we were having in mind when we set up the system.
And that's one of the reasons I invited you on the podcast today. As an ex-IT guy, it's so refreshing to hear that we're talking about problem first and then the technology. So it's that before. Very often we've all seen that people start with the tech now, don't they?
The thing is, I'm no tech guy.
Yeah.
So my thing is always, or my approach, my personal approach is always understanding the problem of the client, of this, on a transactional or on a high level, explaining what we can bring to the table, and then go deeper. Yeah, from macro to micro, and not from micro starting.
Yes, yeah. And of course, we are talking live at the QlikWorld event in Vegas today. And as Qlik Elite Solutions Provider, how do you utilize Qlik Sense to help organizations integrate data, transform it into meaningful insights? Can you share some examples of the kind of value that it's bringing to some of your clients?
Yeah, basically what I was trying to refer is basically bringing information that were hidden in your data, basically your ERP or data dump. Yeah. So the data is always there. We are not creating data, but we are making it visible and we are making interpretable. So with that information, you can then derive corrective actions to whatever you want to do. So you would ask us to deliver a certain KPI, a certain information. We would implement that. And you, as a customer, can then decide what to do with that information. Yeah, and that is basically how we see it. We want to embrace the knowledge of our customers, because we are that's, I think, a little important thing. We are an implementer, but we are no business consultancy.
Yeah.
So we will not ending up telling you what's the best for your customer. So we get information to the customer that wasn't there. They can decide from that point what to do with it. And real world scenarios. So for example, it seems sometimes too trivial to even think about it, but often clients don't know if they do have duplicate payments of the invoices. So you purchase something, you get the goods, you get the invoice, you pay the invoice, but maybe you have a problem with your master data. You have typos in the master data of the supplier. So one of the colleagues will pay to the supplier that has typo A, and the other one will pay to the supplier that has typo B. And the thing is, you wouldn't necessarily know it, because there is a invoice and you paid it, and that's it. Yeah. And that's actual pretty much cash that would be lost, because there is no added value in paying something twice. There's intel, and of course money.
Yeah.
And the supplier not necessarily would give you the money back directly if you would not ask for it. Yeah. Or another thing is days of sales outstanding. So on the other side of the spectrum. So you deliver something to the client, you invoice it, and you want to improve the time till you get your money. So you deliver the goods, but not have got the money. So how can we see where along that path do you lose time? What could you improve? Where you can get better? That is where we can add value to table or in production layout, shop floor layouts in production. We can see if the orientation of all the machines are well, if we have waiting times between the machines, if we have too long production times, where we should parallelize our production, for example, or optimize our warehouse organization. Yeah, so we can analyze picking routes and see if certain picking routes, for example, are more efficient or would use less distance to travel to get that picked up.
So, and if we go back, 20 years ago, boardrooms would have been looking at bar charts and pie charts, but there's a bit of a bigger expectation now. So can you explain the importance of data visualization in today's data-driven world, and how Qlik Sense intuitive software can actually enable companies to create reports and things like attractive dashboards that help them just get that snapshot and get those valuable insights straight away?
Absolutely. Yeah, so you were referring to the bar chart. I think it's a good one. We are still using bar charts.
Okay.
They're not outdated. They're not outdated. So there could be use cases where a bar chart is the right answer.
Yeah.
But we have grown out of it that we are in the need of use for a bar chart every time. So there is now special analysis where we would favor other chart types, maybe. Yeah. And what is I think the greater achievement is that in the past, like you said, the reports were provided.
Yes.
And now we're reversed that. We are in a self-service data analytics world now. So we don't care too much how the client, the end user, favors their visualization. We care in delivering a validated data model, and the end user can then decide if they want to see a bar chart, a pie chart, scatter plot, or whatsoever, Sankey. Yeah. It's all there. Yeah. But I think the real shift is basically coming from this reactive once a week static PDF report. It was delivered by email or put on a server, and you needed to approach it to a real-time data that you can by self-service and also ask. So this morning we were looking into the GPT integration and the Insights Advisor. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah, I saw it in the keynote.
And especially the Insights Advisor is then the next step, because we will be in the future not even have to think about what and how to visualize something. We just have data. We ask the system what we want to see. We tell it, show me something, and it will give us different options, and we can decide for our favor.
Wow, that's a huge game changer, isn't it?
Yes, we will not be in the need to design and make it all beautiful. Yeah, because I opened this app with the desire to get an answer to a question. I will not open the app only because I want to open it.
Yeah.
And that's also the purpose of IT. The purpose of IT must never be just doing IT, but it must always solve a concrete problem.
Yeah.
And in this case, the concrete problem would be, give me the sales figures over the last 6 months compared from all with comparable of all my locations, for example. Type it in, it will deliver you exactly. And that's already today. You can do exactly this question to the Insights Advisor, it will deliver you that. And this is the cool thing, as we are natively integrated into Qlik, it would also apply to all of our process-based analysis that we add to the table. So the Insights Advisor would also being able to use that for an analysis.
Wow, incredibly cool. And of course, the latest version of Qlik Sense, I think it was launched in February, that offers new features such as personalized dashboards, larger data sets in scatter graphs, chart animations. How do these enhancements improve the overall user experiences and help users better understand their data?
Yeah, it absolutely. Also, a recent ad was AutoML. I don't know if you have heard about that. So that was quite a huge leap forward, because now we are not in the classical backwards driven, but now we are in the predictive and prescriptive world. So it tells us where along our processes where we do have influence, because it's not done yet, will be problems arriving on the horizon, and tells us proactive, do something now in order not to have a problem in the future.
Right.
And the impact you're having now today, and the guidance that you have to put in to make it right today, is way less than tomorrow, and way, way less than the day after tomorrow, and so on. So if you act, the earlier you are able to act and interpret the data that you're provided in whatever visualization way, the better you have a chance in correcting it.
Wow. And you guys, I should also highlight, you support some huge companies as well. I think there's Goldamer, EMSA, Agilent. I mean, can you share some, I don't know if you are allowed to mention any here, you don't have to mention any names, but any success stories or case studies where a partnership with you and Qlik have made a significant impact on the business performance? Because every tech project now, it needs that ROI, it needs that comparison, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think quite an interesting one, especially now for Qlik customers, or also all sorts of customers that are looking into the topic of process mining, would be maybe Vodafone. Vodafone, we started with, they had a data analytics platform, which is called Qlik. They had a process mining platform, which is called Celonis. And they said, our customers are getting confused in looking in which solution for which KPI. Because the end users, they don't care if they are doing a process mining analysis or data analysis. For them, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Why should you give them something where they need to distinguish between both? Yeah. So they were confused what answer to ask in which solution.
Yeah.
What I was referring to before in the Insights Advisor. So what they were now able or are now able is to integrate both worlds in one platform. Ask the question no matter if you go the process mining side or you go the data analytics side down the road. And in the future, we will not be even talking about a difference between data and process analytics. It will be the same.
What challenges do you think organisations typically face when trying to optimise their business process through things like data-driven insights, and how does your approach help overcome those obstacles that you probably hear about every day?
The thing is, now we are at the technology. The technology always faster adapts than the people.
That's true.
So the technology is basically, in this case, it's the technology that goes ahead, and the cultural change, the mindset change of the people and the corporations that is following behind. And depending on the leadership inside of the corporation, if they want to embrace data-driven decision-making, if they want to say gut feeling is good to have, but we always need to validate it based on data. Yeah, depending on that will take longer or shorter time being able to create value out of it. Yeah. So I think the tools will even further excel, but the tools are not the hindering part at the moment. The hindering part is that we are, like with the coming up of ChatGPT and stuff, we are really at the moment, I think no one is truly at the edge of time technology-wise in the personal mindsets. Yeah. So we will need some time to adapt. Yeah. And the faster we adapt, the more success we will have.
Yeah, the ChatGPT thing, it brings up so many questions around security of company data, governance, and all those kind of things too, doesn't it? Which take time to iron out.
And like, of course, I do talk a lot. I do write emails a lot. I do support sales meetings. The thing is, like, how could I now utilize it? Yeah. Where can I save up time? Where can I maybe also not do stuff anymore that I don't like the first place?
Yes. 100% with you. I do that already as well. So if I was to ask you to look in your virtual crystal ball, how do you see the future of business intelligence solutions, data visualization? How do you see it all evolving, and where do you see your company and Qlik playing in that future as everything evolves? I mean, in the keynote today, we already saw the generative AI, ChatGPT. We can kind of see where things are heading, but where do you see things evolve?
I think Qlik is walking down a path in the right direction. I think it must be always the customer that is your focus, not the functionality, but the customer-driven, seamless user experience. And that is where Qlik and we are together heading. So Qlik is now having invested in talent in the data pipeline part, so in the very early part of the process, because you connect, you extract, you transform, you load, visualize, and this is in the really early part. And we are, with process mining in the later part, adding a layer that wasn't there before. So you had this KPI-based layer, and now you are able to, we were looking into the process and the prescriptive part. Yeah. With process mining, you can train those models way, way better because you have a further granularity step. So those models will be far more accurate with adding process mining, and the action that you can take out of it, what we call execution. Yeah. So we have a workflow or a process orchestration engine also attached to it that we can integrate with application automation. So we identify problems, we derive actions, we implement those, let them get solved or automated. So we have complete automation. Yeah. And then like really execute it back into the system. So what I think is this really end-to-end experience that this platform can offer is absolutely unique. And with adding those Insight Advisor stuff, it will get easier and easier and easier. And also with the adding of talent can visually transform data. It's a huge thing. Yeah. Before you needed to be a scripter. Now, of course, it will not all go away instantaneously, but the future will be that you tell the data, you tell what you want to see. and the data model will get created on that, based on that. So it will create the data model, will show you then the KPI in the last, because you're an end user, you don't care.
Yeah.
You just want the output that you demand.
And there just seems to be a lot of excitement around the talent acquisition at the moment. It's something that really excites you too, for obvious reasons.
As I said, I'm no techie.
Yeah.
So I'm problem oriented, and that was something where problems were in the past. So I think it's filling exactly the gap that was needed to. That is making it exciting in itself. Yeah.
Well, finally, for anyone listening anywhere in the world, is there any advice that you'd give to a business leader or a business looking to leverage data more effectively, become more agile in today's competitive market? Any advice on how they can best utilise tools, services provided by companies like your own and Qlik, etc.?
I think basically, as I said, the tools are there, the tools are ready to being used, and no one is using the tools to their absolute limit. I'm pretty sure of that. So I would always embrace this cultural change, and not to demand the use of it, but to encourage the use of it. Yeah, so show the people the benefit they would have in utilizing ChatGPT. Show the people the benefit they would have in knowing that their sales went down last month by 10%, and that the impact was coming from a certain product that is having issues at I don't know where.
Yeah.
So embrace this, and the people will follow. But if you push it from top down into, we now do data analytics top notch, or we doing process analytics top notch, the people will always go one step back. They will go into an emergency mode or detection mode, and they will not proactively use it.
And it's interesting you mentioned culture shift there, because I think traditionally there has been a problem with data silos, certain departments. I don't want anybody touching or looking at my data. Any advice on how to get over that? Because the big theme here is data everywhere and allowing everyone to have that same picture of the organisation.
Yeah, of course we were talking a lot about data everywhere and stuff, but never ever leave data governance out of sight.
Yeah.
So still there, even though the data is literally there, doesn't mean that you as an end user are allowed to use it.
Yeah.
So the data governance side must not be forgotten.
Fantastic advice there. And before I let you go, for anyone listening, want to find out more information about the work you're doing, how to contact your team, what's the best starting point for everything?
Best import, contact me on LinkedIn. Yeah, that's easy to find. Or look on our webpage. We have quite a good webpage where we have a lot of information, mpmprocessmining.com.
Awesome. Well, I'll add those links to the show notes so people can find you easily. I know you're doing a lot of interviews and you're running around the show floor. You've not seen daylight for 3 days, but a big thank you for taking the time to talk with me today.
Thank you so much.
So a big thank you for today's guest for joining me on the podcast and taking a deep dive into the world of process mining and data-driven process understanding. And I hope you found the conversation enlightening and maybe gained some valuable insights into how organisations can optimise their business processes. But as we wrap up, I invite you to share your insights, and if anything resonated with you or it's triggered something you'd like to share, please let me know. So email me now, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, just @NeilC.Hughes. We'll keep this conversation going. But just a big thank you for listening as always, and until next time, don't be a stranger.